just let us know who Rob Irish is and the many hats that you wear in the creative arts industry.
Yeah, well, I live in Darlington, and I do a lot of different things, music production and mixing and stuff, a lot of videography, photography, as well as organising events with a company that I co-run with Sarah Wilson called Tracks, also based in Darlington. We do lots of events and workshops and stuff around the Teesside area.
Cool. You had that like quite prepared there. That was quite.
It sounded like I did. I really didn't.
Yeah, done a lot of Zooms this year.
Yeah, just like wheel out the same old description, eh?
Now the icebreaker. I so like that's a few different things. Would you class yourself as like a digital creative generally? Like, is that?
I guess so. Yeah, I think most of the
with...
stuff I do is very digital, especially at the moment. Obviously, absolutely everything is digital, which is done quite well for me. But we'll come on to that later.
Oh, will we? Are you gonna?
I assume so. I've seen the question at the bottom that you pointed out earlier. So.
Oh no, that's all right.
Foreshadowing.
How did you first get involved in arts? Then I guess because you're a musician as well, aren't you? So and you're a songwriter, production. What was the first bit where you were like, "Oh, I'm a creative type"?
I don't really know. I've always like played instruments and stuff like that. When I was at college, I did really academic stuff. I did like maths and further maths, and I love that it's called further maths, as if even more maths, and sciencey subjects and computing and stuff. And, you know, that was all great and things, but I just always felt, even whilst doing that, that it wasn't quite as good as I was at it. It wasn't quite my calling. Like I wanted to do something else, and people used to call me like ridiculous and crazy for not going to university and doing loads of clever stuff or whatever. I was like, I just want to do music, man. I just feel like that's what you just feel it, don't you? And so I did. So I didn't go to university, and I just left off after college and just started doing weird creative shit. And I'm still doing it now. So
kind of like me, you know, I was quite brainy at maths, and I did mechanical maths in computer. Yeah. And I never even had a computer. Like, I remember telling people at the time I did a computing course without
just
a computer.
an abacus.
Yeah, back in day, that's what it was.
Back in day, doing basic binary logic on an abacus.
See the sheep in morning, then go to college. So what inspired you? What was the thing that you were like, right, okay, I want to do this? Was it a certain like influence or inspiration, or was it just like a moment?
I don't know. Like you back in day, at school and stuff. Like music was something you could do with your friends, and it was cool to get together and jam. And it was just something that was such a totally separate emotional experience to like sitting and putting your head in books and stuff. It was just like a pure hanging out and pure expression, and just fun, isn't it? And I think listening to great music and the way that it makes you feel, like it makes you want to make people feel that way as well, if you know what I mean. I don't know, like you want to have that, you've got stuff to say, and it's difficult to say that stuff with science sometimes. So whereas music is more of a direct way of or video or whatever, of making people feel stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's still all linked though as well. Like obviously being good at maths means you're good at music as well, because you know music is numbers. Like if you're thinking like certain instruments lend themselves more to that as well. You're thinking guitar tabs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, how did you learn generally? You've got so many different crafts, it feels weird to like broad stroke them all, but I kind of have a feeling I knew because I know you, but like it's like, how would you say you like learned most of the crafts? Or you can talk specifically about one if it's easier.
Just Googled it, mate.
Just Google it.
Basically, yeah, like it's just self-taught. Everything pretty much. I've never gone to any sort of creative. We've got the odd little workshop here and there, but generally speaking, everything I've learned, I've done by just trying to do it, and then realizing you don't know how to do something, so you Google it, you YouTube it, or whatever. You figure out how to do that thing, and then you do it, and you kind of get it wrong, but it's okay-ish, and then you try again, and you just keep trying, and eventually you can do stuff. Does that make sense?
No, it does, because I do it, but yeah, like it's essentially the same thing.
That's it.
Have you got like an app on my phone now that like you just listen to a song and it just tells you what like the chord is? And I was just like, how easy is music nowadays? That I could just like put it. I remember sitting in a room and I'm like sit there for ages trying to listen on a phone speaker, like bass.
Oh no, yeah.
rock
trying to work
hard.
out the flipping riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
Back in there, kids never had it so good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, didn't have to. I had to learn on the back of a sheep. Like we just had to sit on back.
So you went with left hand, tabbing with right.
Yeah. Why do you think the creative arts are important? You can talk about this from personal experience. We did touch upon it there almost with the social side of it, or you can speak about it just generally.
All right, just why the creative arts important? I should really have actually read these questions in fully before I listened to this. Why the creative arts important? I guess the creative arts in general, you're either a creator or you're a consumer, and from both sides, I think it's important. Me as a creator and a consumer as well, I guess. It's important for me and people like me that you've got a means of being able to tell stories and say things to people and express things that you want to say, and doing it beautifully and rather than just and being able to kind of capture, because you can say things, but when you've said them, that's it, they've gone, unless they're being transcribed in a Zoom call. But art kind of immortalizes the things that you say and think in like a beautiful way that can be understood by other people, which is cool. And then as a consumer, I think it's really important to have art as whatever you want it to be, as a balm, as a form of therapy, as a way of making yourself feel good, or exploring more ideas about things, or just having fun, or just a reason to meet your friends, or a reason to go somewhere, or a reason to just do anything in your life, really. I think art's important to inspire people as much as it's important to give you a means of inspiring others.
That was just off the cuff as well. The monologue.
Otter AI hasn't got a clue what's going on.
No, I don't think it's on. So I think that's
well, that's probably what I ran away. It was like, I'm not transcribing that shit.
It had a 3-syllable word and was like, oh. that was just the start. The big meaty question: how has lockdown affected your work and your future plans?
It has changed them, but not necessarily in a negative way. Well, depends how you look at it. For me personally, I've probably had more work than ever because everything's going digital. So being a digital creative is a pretty good time to be one, because there's the demand for video, for example, has gone through the roof and things like that. I'm sure you found that yourself to some extent. There's even what we're doing now, there's like stuff like this is happening that wouldn't otherwise have happened because lockdown is demanding that it happens only in this format. So I've probably benefited in some ways, but it has meant that there's been other plans for more physical stuff that's either changed or been cancelled altogether. There's a lot of for events, for example, there's probably the biggest one with tracks. There's a lot of events that we were planning that were all in-person events, and some of them have been able to convert to digital, albeit it's not quite the same. There's other things like festivals and things that we might have just completely bin until next year, or we just don't really know what's happening. So it's changed a lot of plans. We've reformatted, or we've moved, or rescheduled, but at the same time, it's been quite good for me in a way, because it's just a lot more digital stuff to do.
You got a digital grant, didn't you, as well, just to help with that? Do you think that was that being around anyway, do you think, or because that was quite early in the lockdown that you got that?
Which one was that?
Is it? I don't know. I remember you sharing it, to be honest.
There was a
that means you've got more than one. No.
Yeah. Which grant was that? Oh my god, so many grants. No, because the original one, it was an Arts Council one that went out. That was like, I can't remember what it was. It was ages ago. It was up to £2,000, I think, for individuals. Very few people I know got that, including myself. I didn't get it, and Sarah didn't get it. And we both applied because we just had an Arts Council bid rejected. Not rejected, but Arts Council scrapped all their project grant scheme at the time. Exclusive news between you and me, we have actually just got a new bid come through, which is great. So we've got some activities for next year, which are all digital. Again, brilliant, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's the only grant we've had for ages.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I've had them ones off the government. They were all right. They're pretty handy.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's the ones I've seen.
The SACE ones.
It's all pretty cool. It's like yin and yang, isn't it? It's a bit like there's good and there's bad, and it's just like that kind of like weird reflection. I always think like next year is gonna be weird as well, because you've got so many, especially as promoters, like honoring gigs, but also trying to respect the fact that there's new stuff, and then also respecting the fact that like, it's weird. You've got plans that you've been sitting on for over a year and a half now, probably. And it's like, do you still want to do them? Like, or do you want to do some new ideas, or do you want to, you know, you're kind of festering, aren't you?
It's weird as well, isn't it? Yeah, because especially, and as we both know, like there's quite a lot of festivals and events that have literally postponed, in the sense that the whole bill has just been postponed to next year, and it's a bunch of artists who may or may not be relevant next year. No, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that all the artists are just going to disappear, but a lot of them, you know, lockdowns affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And some artists are dropping off the map at the same time as others are rocketing up it. And next year, the bill that you might book for a festival might not be the same as last year's, but it's going to have to be, well, whatever, because it's kind of, you've postponed off the thing, and it's tough. Yeah, I think for last Rain Festival, we didn't really get round to, or did we? You know what? I've forgotten. I can't remember. I don't think. I think we booked a lot of people. Yeah, we did, but I think we've had to just say to them, look, like, you know, we're had to pull them all, and we're going to have to rebook next year, and hopefully we'll book quite a lot of the same people, but we've left it open for ourselves to be able to change that if we have to, because some of those artists might not be there. I don't know. It's a funny world of trying to honor what you were going to deliver a year ago.
I think everything festers, but you haven't really been thinking about it because you're just waiting like everybody else.
Yeah, it just keeps changing literally every day, more or less, and you just don't know. Yeah.
It's been class to speak to you, Rob. We are actually out of time.
Oh my God.
I wish we could talk longer.
Did we
How quick was that?
Cover everything that we needed to cover? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I'm just going to stop recording. Say bye. Bye.
Bye.